All right, we should be online momentarily. Good. Good. We are online, and in just a sec. All right. Good. We are online, everybody. We are online. So I thought I would. I'll start with a little free-form playing. Actually, I'm going to start with a song called "Good Morning, Little Schoolgirl." I see that I've got nobody watching yet, so the moment I think what I'll do is I like this. I like this. Good, guys. I see a couple of you are here. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Good. Well, I'm going to play for a little while and talk a little bit, and I'll tell you what I want to do today. So let me do a little bit more. Good morning, little schoolgirl. Oh, I know actually what I want to ask you guys. Please weigh in on this. I have adjusted the input volume on the mic right here, tap, tap, so that I don't overload when I'm playing harmonica. Please let me know if the volume is about right on the harmonica or if it's clipping. Can you do that? Can you check in and let me know that? I'm going to take a look at this other screen that I've got. Wait a minute. Where's my preferences? Hold on a sec. So it looks to me like I'm okay, but I'd like you guys to weigh in on that if you would, okay? Good. It was distorted last time. Yeah, sounds better, much better. Okay, then I'm going to assume that I've got it right. And what I'll do is I'll back up when I'm playing, and then I'll lean forward when I'm talking to you guys, okay? Good morning, little schoolgirl. Good morning, little schoolgirl. Can I go home? Can I go home with you? Good morning, little schoolgirl. Good morning, little schoolgirl. Can I go home? Can I go home with you? I tell your mama and your papa, I'm a little schoolboy too. Right. Now, the only problem I've got is that when I'm looking at the screen here, I'm going to try not to look at the screen down there and look at you instead. When I'm looking at the screen, it's sort of on a little bit of a delay. But I've got my Wirecast play. Good. Now, this tells me, I'm going to adjust what I got going on here. It tells me that it's just about right. Okay. Good. Well, let me welcome you guys. Let me just do a quick kind of sign in. Okay. Sounds much better. No noise. Sebastian, good, man. Glad you're here. Louisiana Blues, why don't you, good. Why don't you guys let me know where you're from? That would be one thing. High notes clipping, yeah. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit more. I'm gonna go on the input, which is at, I don't know what percentage it is. I'm gonna turn the input down slightly when I go for those high notes. That was my worry. Diego, good. Poland, so sign in. Let me know. And let me tell you one thing I want to do today. I'll take some questions. This is not really about me being a performing bear, but I'll think of something that I want to play or noodle on. I'll let you know. But one thing, when I teach at the University of Mississippi, where I teach, one of the things that I teach is blues literature and culture. So I don't actually teach music there. I talk about music. And it occurred to me that you guys might have a question or two about, not just about blues harmonica, mechanical kind of how do I make the two-hole draw work, but that you might actually have questions about blues. And I'm fascinated by the fact that you guys are from all over, right? So we got St. Louis, Kansas, Toronto, Bangladesh. I love this. It's kind of, and Italy, right? Czech Republic. I had a table tennis coach from the Czech Republic. Her name was Renata Peluchova. You can check her out. But I've never been to the Czech Republic. I'd love to go. So if you've got questions, so I'd like you to, if you've got questions, and not how to play juke, I can do a little of that, but questions about blues in general, I would be happy to try to answer them. Now I see Welsh, Seville, Spain, good. Are there any benefits? Now let's start with an easy one. Are there any benefits of starting on a low G? So I've got a low G. This is actually a custom one done by Joe Spires. So it's one of those, kind of over $100, $140. I always had trouble with the stock G harps marine band for whatever reason. I don't feel like they play as well as the harps above. Starting with A flat, G always seems to stick a little bit for me. G harps are real low. We're talking about a stock. That's a G harp. So G harps are particularly good for songs that involve train kind of sounds. They chug really well. They have a really mellow, low kind of chuck chuck. They're incrementally harder to play than an A harp, and you can chug perfectly well on an A harp. So if it were me, I certainly wouldn't start on a G. I think it's too far down to the bottom. Starting on a low G. But it's really important, forget about starting on a G, it's really important if you start, no matter what you start on, to work your way through the full spectrum of harps, at least from a G at the bottom end to an F at the top end. It's really important because you're constantly making little adjustments in how you play the blues scale. And so my suggestion to you, I'm just extrapolating from your question, is that one of the things you do, let's assume you've got 4 or 5 different key harps. One way to start a practice session each day might be to pick up a harp, start with the low and go all the way up. So if I were going to do that very quickly and just do a blues scale. Paying particular attention on that blue third, that slightly bent 3-hole. Now here's interesting. This is an A, but I took it just by random out of my case. It's not a particularly good one. It's the 3-hole doesn't play the way I want it to. You know what my little fix is for that? I spit in the hole. I'm going to try that now. So. It doesn't play quite as well, but it'll play better being a wooden harp. One of the things I do, let's say I have an A harp that just doesn't want to bend that 3-hole the way it should. I will be relentless in doing this particular kind of riff. And it's tricky because I'm trying to pull really hard, but I also don't want to over flat it out. Anyway, you know what? I should go and take a look at some other questions. Hello, Seville. Good. Kansas, Bangladesh. Okay, wait a minute. Let me go on here. Benefits of starting on a low G. Teach us. Okay, now Bill, you've been dogging me on my videos. I'm going to answer your question. Teach us first rule for beginners to learn how to play and to play well in a short time. What I'm going to tell you to do is what I told you, Nabil, to do, which is go to the video that I've got called something like Instant Raw Naked Brutal Blues Harmonica. That was my best attempt in 10 minutes. 10 minutes to kind of give you everything. I don't want to take 10 minutes now and just replicate that video, But let me give you, I'll give you a basic concept. You're a beginner. Here's your questions you need to address. How to hold the harp. There's two basic ways. It doesn't really matter at first, but there's two basic ways. There's that way, right? I'm holding it like that, and I want to show you one particular thing. Notice that my fingers they're equidistant. They basically go the same length. That's really important if you're going to hold the harp like this. Now you can find, I think Hohner even has things, you can find harmonica methods that show that. That's totally mistaken. And I'll tell you why. If I hold it like that and I try to bend my wrist, it's almost impossible to bend my wrist. My wrist is locked in place. If I slide like that, we used to make like talking ducks using the light, you know, my brother and I, the light shining against the wall of our bedroom. Wah, all right, the talking duck. So he bites the harp. The talking duck bites the harp, and his top jaw and bottom jaw are the same, right? That's what you do. And that lets you instantly move you can look at this. Look at that. If I go like this, the way some bad instruction manual will show you, it's really hard. It's like the duck has a neck that needs to be cracked by a chiropractor. Okay, so that you gotta hold the harp right. You can also hold it the way I hold it, which is too hard to show in prime time. So the questions you have to address as a beginner: how do I hold the harp? Then you have to learn how to play single notes, double stops, 2 notes at a time, and chords, 3 or more notes at a time. Now, and so however you get to that is the important thing, but that's what a beginner has to focus on. And once you can get a single note, and I have lots of videos, and you can come to my website. In fact, I'll make a brief commercial pitch. Many of you know that I have a website called Modern Blues Harmonica, modernbluesharmonica.com. I have a page for beginners, so you can just Google Modern Blues Harmonica Beginners. You'll find that page. And I have some materials that sort of get you going on this stuff. But that's the first thing. How to hold it, single notes, double stops, chords. When I say double stops, what do I mean? Well, a warble's a double stop. But basically I'm talking about how wide your lips should be to make just 2 holes and no more. Okay. Anyway, I want to move on and address some more questions, but let's try that. Teach us first rule. How to draw 3 draw down on A flat on a C harp. So I need to think about that on a C harp. Okay, so 3 draws wait a minute. The C that's very funny. You thought you were going to trick me, did you? So here's the thing. On a C harp, 3 draw down to an A flat. Okay. I thought you were thinking 2 draw. That's a half step above. Or as they have in the old 70s sitcoms, wah, 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 when somebody said something stupid on the Brady Bunch. Well, the first thing to know, the answer is, how do you do it? First thing, you have to know it's there to do. And so it would be really helpful if you sat at a piano with a harmonica and played whatever that is. That's the B. That's the 3 draw with no bend. And then bend it down a half step. And play the note, play the B flat, the black key underneath the B, right? Is that right? I want to make sure I'm getting this right because I'm not a piano player. So play that note, then see if you can bend just that little bit, a half step to hit that note. Then that's the B flat. Then you want to do the A, which is a whole step bend. And that one is actually really easy to hear, because at least in America, it's our song 3 Blind Mice. Now, I'm not going to teach you in this how to bend. I'm going to assume that you have managed to use all of the materials online to somehow figure out how to bend. The question is how to control the bend, but also where you're heading towards. And I think that actually is a really important exercise. This is not the A flat, but the A, right? The whole step bend. you're going to find that your jaw to hold that whole step bend on the 3 draw, the A, is really tough. And by the way, I have to stop and think. I think it's an A. Believe it or not, I was thinking in terms of scale degrees. It's a whole step bend off the major third, so it's obviously a major second. Anyway, now to go down 3 half steps. So that's 3. Well, the first thing you have to do is, it's basically pretty easy, because all you have to do is bend as hard as you can, and you're pretty close to it. You're probably a little below it at that point. You go below the floor. So the answer is, try to bend the 3-hole draw the way you bend the 2-hole draw when you're notching it down a whole step. And that would be the way to do it. Okay. Argentina, Buenos Aires. Okay. Let me see. I'm looking at, oh, there's a lot of questions. I'm going to answer some quickly. Okay, Boogie Woogie, how does it fit into blues history and one's blues repertoire? Very good question. Oh, right, okay. Very good question, Boogie Woogie. So, Boogie Woogie, you know, early blues comes from various places, including the Mississippi Delta, as we know. But blues also comes from the so-called, the kind of pine woods camps, the logging camps in the rural South, South Alabama, North Florida, mid and South Georgia. They'd have basically a piano, because the piano players aren't traveling with pianos. They'd have a piano in each one of those. Each logging camp would have a kind of makeshift juke joint, and they'd have pianos there. Boogie Woogie is a sort of outgrowth of that kind of juke joint piano music that was happening in those logging camp juke joints, is a way to think about it. But it really comes into its own in the 1930s in a big way. And so you have these, you know, it ends up at Carnegie Hall. You have James P. Johnson and Albert Ammons, I think it is. There's a Gene Ammons who's a sax player, Albert Ammons, and James P. Johnson, and those guys do all that boogie woogie stuff. It's 8 to the bar, so it's da 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 da, 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, a 8, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. That's 1 bar. 8 to the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. That's when they say 8 to the bar, right? Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. And of course, guitar players. Robert Johnson. There's a great book on Robert Johnson by Ed Komara, the former archivist at the Blues Archive. He teaches in upstate New York, actually. But Ed Komara had a book about Robert Johnson and Robert Johnson's debt to blues piano players. Johnson copied Boogie Woogie. That was part of his style. He tried to copy piano players. And of course, harmonica players do that. Up. Up. Even the pros get problems. Okay. Okay, well that would be a little kind of on the bottom end, a C harp kind of boogie woogie. Anyway, let me move on a little bit. How does it fit into blues, into one's repertoire? Okay, let me answer that real brief. It's one of the many ways that you can play your way through a 12-bar blues. It's a certain kind of groove. It's a certain kind of bouncy groove, and part of your job as a blues harmonica student would be to find some, and I used to try to find things that I could play boogie woogie along with. It doesn't go with everything. It's a really highly patterned kind of thing. It's a good instrumental background. But it's important to know. It's important to sort of know and recognize, and I would say it's also important to be able to handle that 5-chord change on bar 9 on a boogie woogie. And so there's actually, I'll just show you a few different ways that I might do that. And let me show you one other key idea. So basically boogie woogie is, in cross harp terms, 2 draw, So it's root, third, fifth, sixth, and you want to double them. Now at that point, you can either go to the flat seventh, which is the 5 draw, or the 6 blow, and then back down. I'm just playing lip purse now, right? Or I can go, now instead of 5 draw, up to the 6 blow, leave that 5 draw, that flat seventh out. If I'm going to the 4 chord, now my own teacher, Nat Riddle, showed me this. Isn't that neat? So you've got to know several different ways of doing this, right? But when you get to the 5 chord, if I go root, third, fifth, sixth, that's 1 draw, 2 draw, half step, 3 draw, whole step bend, 3 draw, no bend. Now at that point I can go, what do I want to do? I can go to the flat seventh. That's a little tricky. I would encourage you to go, and I should probably leave this and move on to other questions, but I'd encourage you to make sure that you can do root, third, fifth, sixth, flat seventh, sixth, fifth, third, back to the root. Okay, Boogie Woogie. Why? So somebody said, why Modern Blues Harmonica site isn't available in Russia? Do you know why? And by the way, I speak, my Russian brother, my grandfather was from Lithuania. I have relatives in Kharkov, Minsk. So I guess that's more Byelarussia. Some of that is, but and I think St. Petersburg, the Gussows. It's a German name, but we were all over that Russian thing. My father's father's father was known as the man with the golden hands. He was a tailor in Russia. Why is it not available in Russia? Because there are too many scam artists in Russia. This is what my web host tells me. And so they had to actually blacklist a lot of Russia, believe it or not, because they've been getting so much spam on the forums that various websites have. So it's macwebsitebuilder.com. That's my web host. Anyway, I'm sorry about that, but there are a few places like that, and Russia's one of them. So I don't know what the answer is. Maybe you can somehow patch through to a web server that's not in Russia, but and then access me. I don't know. Anyway, that's the question. What about swelling on wood combs? I've been thinking a lot about this. I don't have that problem anymore. Wood combs. What Troy is asking about. The wood combs. Now I used to soak my harps, and when you soak them, they'll just pop right out. Now what I would do is I would take a little a Swiss Army knife, the small blade of a Swiss Army knife, and I would, once they were soaked, I would kind of pare off the wood so that they were back down to flat. And of course, once they dried out, you have everything sort of below the surface. At that point, you've sort of overdone it, right? But here's what's interesting. The longer I play, the less this is a problem. So I rarely get a harp where my lips are getting cut up by swelled, extended, the sort of wooden comb fingers or whatever they're called. That rarely happens. So what I assume, this is my gut sense, is that when players are at a lower level, more novice players, your mouth is still trying to figure out what the heck is going on, and it's generating a lot of spit. This is really true if you play a lot of straight position harp. When I play the Entertainer, for example. When I play that kind of, where you're doing a lot of blowing, a lot of spit, those kind of songs, a lot of spit ends up going into the harp, and sometimes I almost feel like I'm drowning in it. It doesn't happen anymore when I play my wooden combed harps, cross harp. So let me keep going. Beginners videos, okay. By the way, one more commercial announcement. I may do this one more time before the end. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, please subscribe to this channel. I'm going to do more of this. I think this is fun. It's a way of connecting. Let me take a look here. I think some things have built up. Thanks for free lessons. You're welcome. Doc, thanks from the Arkansas Delta. I just drove through there last week. We just drove from Little Rock, from Maumelle back to Oxford, Mississippi, and it's dead flat there in the Arkansas Delta. Jonesboro. I have friends at Jonesboro. Matthew. Okay, Matthew. I've hit a plateau with self-teaching. My bending is good. I've got scales down, and other than learning song by song, I don't know which direction to go in. Okay, now I suspect that if this was a room full of people and I've got 37 of you, if I said, put your hand up if you know what he's talking about and if you've ever been there, and I suspect that most of you would put your hand up. This happens to everybody. One way that this used to happen with me was on gigs, I'd feel like I'd played everything I knew. And like I had gone to the bottom of the barrel. Is that something that you've experienced? Well, that could be part of this symptom. So when you hit plateaus, your bending is good, you got scales down. Here's this is something I've shared more than once, but it's worth sharing again. I think that the answer, there's several ways you can go. So one of them is, it might be you're going stale because you're just listening to the same stuff. And that actually happens to me when I listen to, in some cases, the classics, or when I listen to contemporary players who just sort of echo back a certain kind of mid-50s sound. It feels stale to me. And by the way, I think my family may be coming home. This may be near the end. I don't know. If they walk in the door, I'm going to say goodbye and we'll go. And I'll do it again at some point. Or I'll tell them to go away. But I think I hear a door slamming. You have to simplify. The answer is to simplify. The answer is to forget about changes, forget about everything except 3 notes and a groove. And this is what I do. If I feel like I'm getting stale, I say, I've got to get back into connection with my music. And my music begins with a good sound on that 2-hole draw. It begins with a groove that I can feel. And so actually it's usually a funk groove for me. And it begins with just playing a little bit. When I say play, I mean beginning to think about what the possibilities are and beginning to actually get that pleasure back. So I say always keep in touch with, I used to call it your sort of wailing energy, whatever it is that makes you want to just, guys, I gotta go. Hold on a sec. I'm gonna pause the stream momentarily. Okay. All right. We're back, everybody. I am back. I hope I'm back. Yeah. Okay. I'm back. Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you how to do what I'm talking about. So. Boom, 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 boom. So I'm just going boom, 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 boom. You could set whatever that tempo is. But you have to kind of begin to hear some internal bipping and bopping with that groove. Dum, 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 bum, 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 bum. So that's 2 draw, whole step bend. Okay. Stream health, are we out? We're on, hopefully. Okay. You see what I mean is at a certain point, and don't be afraid of rote repetition on this particular thing. Really don't be afraid of it at all. That's part of the point, is to kind of get in almost a meditative mood, but get in a mood where you're right on top of the possibilities. There's really just 3 notes. There's 2 draw, whole step bend, and there's 3 draw, that blue third, half a step bend, right? You minimize the possibilities. There's no chord changes. So don't worry about chord changes. You can let the harmonic pressure go away. This is a way to get back into kind of connection with your music. The other way to do it, of course, it would be the same thing but different groove. So it could be a shuffle groove. And often what I do is I go back and forth with a friend. So I've done some of those online. I call them call and response. But I like that funk thing because it's the simplest, but it's also about connecting with rhythm. Anyway, that I don't know if that helps, but that's one place to go. The other thing, it's a part of connecting and staying in touch with your passion, would be, and I'm trying to think, the last moment this worked for me was actually when I was sort of working into my second album. I'll sometimes hear a song on the radio and I'll say that would be a good harp song. So I did that with Street Beater. I didn't even know that was the official title. I said, that Sanford and Son theme song, wouldn't it be cool? It turned out to be really hard to do on harp because I had to use two harps. And just the process of figuring something tricky out got me interested again, because I thought, then I'm not stale, then I've got a new toy, right? And so sometimes that's the thing to do, is say, even if it's not official blues world repertoire, if it's just something that, in this case, I'll play a little bit of this to show you what I ended up getting. And I'll talk about it. I forgot how that's supposed to go. Now here's what's weird. It started on a G harp, on a C harp in the key of G, and then it moves, it modulates to the upper fourth. It modulates to that F harp, so it modulates on the key of C. So it modulates from the key of G to the key of C. So I'm going to the fourth, and it ends up stabilizing on the fourth of the song. Now that just freaked me out. And the fact that I needed to use two harps, and the fact that I could, that's what, they're doing in the actual TV thing. So I've recorded that. It's available on iTunes. It's called The Street Beater, Sanford and Son theme. Guys, I got another 4 or 5 minutes, and then I've got to go and let my family get back to work. Let me take a look. Arkansas Delta, Plateau, 12-bar blues, Harp Attack. Is there a similar CD that you can recommend? Oh gosh, no. That's Bartos, Kowalski. Yeah, is there a similar CD? What I did when I was learning as a younger man was I would just play right over the top of any harmonica, any CD that contained good blues harmonica, just like over the top of everything. That got me jamming really early. I didn't have jam tracks in the early, mid-1970s. We just had the records that had the harp on them. So I would jam along with James Cotton, 100% Cotton, when he would do Boogie Thing. Well, I don't even remember what he was doing, but I just remember it had a warble, and I loved that warble. So I can't recommend another CD, but I would recommend just playing on top of stuff, with one exception. As you do that, you're developing a really bad habit, which is playing right over the top of the vocals, right? You're not just kind of playing along with the harp, but you're playing over the top of the vocals. And it's so important. One of the most important things a blues harmonica player can do is listen to the singer and not step on the singer's lines. And training for that, by the way, is if you sing, as bad as you might sing, if you're singing and playing fills, you de facto can't step on your own singing, because you can't play harp and sing at the same time, right? I know there's going to be somebody who'll say, yes, you can. Sonny Terry does. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, it's not the same thing. So anyway, that's what I'd say. My manji will not bend down. What's this? Hold on. Pause the stream. Let me go back. Arpeggios. Ah! Okay, you're all asking, I don't want to, Vod, did I already answer one of your questions? I might have. Do you use arpeggios in solo? So arpeggios, for those of you who might not actually know what an arpeggio is, let me take the C harp. And the answer is I do, of course. An arpeggio is when you play the notes in a chord sequentially. So you don't play root, third, fifth at the same time, root, third, fifth, seventh. Up, whoa. You play them in, you don't play them all together. Let's say root third fifth, which is a chord. You go. So the beginning of Just a Little Bit of Your Love, teeny weeny bit of your love, it starts with an arpeggiated seventh chord, played staccato, which is to say with a separation between the notes. So the answer's I do, and actually one element of blues harmonica, a kind of advanced thing that not many people do, and two people who do are Paul DeLay and Sugar Blue, is to do arpeggiated blow chords. And I've experimented a little bit with them, which is to say to arpeggiate on the blow while you're playing cross harp, right? Now there, see, just by doing a little bit of that, if I go real slow, so there I went 2 draw, 2 draw, 3 draw, 4 draw, 5 blow, 6 blow, but then I went 7 blow, 8 blow, thing is, that's not my go-to move. Isn't that a cool thing now? Anyway, let me see if I can answer a couple more questions. But the answer is I do occasionally do something like that. Hello, everyone. Uh-oh, entertainer. Pause the stream. You're back on. Okay. When will it be on live again? I don't know when I'll be on live again. This is brand new for me. So, but you got an email. Good. Joe Smith says you got an email. Okay, and it looks like we're sort of at the tail end of the comments, guys. I think this is wrapping to a close, so let me, but I'll tell you what, I will take one last comment, assuming you guys are still there. Better than football? Okay. Next person who comments gets to not ask a question, but ask me to play something. If I know it, I'll play it. So, how about it? What do you want me to play? I'll do my best to noodle in some direction. If I know it, okay, no comments. No comments. More comments below. Private lesson. Private lesson. House of the Rising Sun. God, I can't play House of the Rising Sun. My best turnaround. Okay, Crossroads. My best turnaround. Let me try a particular turnaround. Let's take a C harp, and I'll do that, and I'll end with that. And here's one that just uses the overblow. This is just the kind of thing you should be able to do when you're heading. Here's when to use this when I'm playing a solo that's going to continue and I want to build energy so that I'm kind of pushing it towards a peak. How about that? Now, I have to practice a lot to be able to nail that, but yes. Let me see, I had a few of them. Actually, I've got on Modern Blues Harmonica, you can search this out, put in Gussow turnarounds trade bit, and you'll find there's a MOV, there's a lesson in it with an MOV file, and there's a PDF file. It's a whole thing on turnarounds. So I've forgotten most of my good turnarounds. I can't even remember. I don't know. But that's as good a place as any to end. So guys, thank you. This has been fun. I really enjoy this. Thank you for good questions. Look what happened. Time just went by, and we've got 39 minutes. Okay, that's a lot. So see you down the road, and take care, guys. I think I'm going to hit this thing, and that should take me